you can create here, right click here and just click select as new and come to tables. I think you have done this. Just creating one sample table with student ID. Let's assume even number, which is of type integer. Let's take its name, its student name, which is of varchar data type, and the class of integer. Let's save this table. Like once you click on the save button, you'll have like where you can enter the table name. If you doesn't wanted to change the table name, but if you wanted to go with the default, you can click on OK. But I wanted to change this table name as student details. So once you're doing this one, please ensure that which here we can see here the database name, which is which become blur, because that is nothing but you're just doing this action in this particular database. Like SQL training is my database where I'm creating this table now. Okay, I'm just clicking here. Okay. So once you click on OK, then the table gets created. Come to this object explorer. So directly once if you expand these tables, there it may not be visible to you. Okay, the reason is it did not got refreshed. There could be chances whether these tables particular the tables box will not get there could be chances it may not get refreshed. So try to click on refresh. Okay, once you refresh, you can see that again the tables getting refreshed, and here you can see the student details table what we have created. Okay, if you want, just showing you the columns what we have created here. Just expand these columns and you can see like serial number, S name, and class are the three columns what we have created. Hope it is clear, Ashish. You can unmute and just say if it is okay. Is my screen not visible? Can anyone play that?
Here it's totally different, sir. Like I can see different in the left side corner. I can see different things, but I cannot find the table thing.
You cannot find this table thing?
No, in the databases.
Okay.
I have system databases and database snapshot.
Okay.
After this, I don't find any.
Okay. So first thing is, like as I said, you need to create a database first. Okay. So for that, like just create a new query window. I'm trying to create a database here, which is student. Okay. For now, I have created a SQL training, like for our training purpose. So you can just create your own database name. So once you create the database, like once you create with this command, you can see the database got created here. So once we install that, we doesn't have any, we cannot find any databases here actually. So these two will be there, system databases and database snapshot, but not the other databases. Okay. So once you create itself, you can find that particular database in database list actually. So I'm going to refresh it. Okay. So you can see here, you can see the student database what we have created now. So in this database, if you wanted to create the tables, you can go and create. Okay. So first thing you need to do is you need to create your own database. Okay. Then later on creating the tables you need to do. I think that got missed out, I guess. Am I right, Ashish?
Yes, sir.
Is that okay?
Okay, sir.
Fine.
I'll try it now.
Okay, just try it now, and if you have any queries, like you can just ping me out. Okay,
Sure,
you can just see once again. Okay, fine.
Sure, sir. Thank you.
Yeah. So anyone has any doubts, please just raise your hand or just speak out. You can unmute for some time.
You guys also can respond in chat also.
Yeah. If not, like we shall. Yeah. If not, we shall go through the next session. Like we shall recap the things what we have discussed, and we can go through that. Waiting for a minute. So let's wait for some time, maybe 30 seconds. So if you're okay, then we shall go. So hope all of you has got some practice. You have done some practice. Okay, what we have discussed. So that will be helpful for today's session actually. So if not, just take some time today at least and do some hands-on practice. So that helps you, because there could be a chance you may forget, like if you doesn't do any practice, so we may forget, and we have a gap of 5 days, right? So there could be chances of forgetting the sessions what we have discussed previously. So just have some uh, hands-on practice so that that will help you in the coming sessions. Okay, I think we have no questions now. So we shall go through with our the topics what we wanted to discuss. So first thing is I wanted to recap the things what we have discussed in the previous session. So we have gone through with system databases, like what are system databases, and what like each database will do, basically the master database. So we have just seen that what that, like we have some explanation done for that, like what the database will be doing. MSDB, model database, and temp database. Okay, so so as I said, that master database that records all the system level information, and MSDB, which always records the information of a SQL Server agent, like which is any scheduled jobs what they're going to do. And model database, like which has some three different objects in that. Like once the user creates a database, this model database will be taken as a copy, and the database what we are going to create will contains all the objects which are present in model database. And temp database is nothing but which is a workspace or holding the space where we can do some manipulations and we can create some temporary objects. Okay, basically this is used for getting the intermediate results for any other calculations. So this is what we have got through. We have gone through, and next comes to create tables. Like, okay, so what we have gone through is like how to create a table by using syntax, and as well as how to create a table by using Object Explorer. We have gone through that one, and how to basically what are the different data types what we have in SQL Server. We have gone through that as well, and we have seen like we have, you can see here like data types what we have gone through: character, varchar, as well as text and varchar, and we have seen the difference between varchar and varchar, char and varchar. So these are things what we have discussed in our previous session. Even we have gone through the numeric data types what we have. Okay, so this is all about like the previous session what we have discussed. And one slide which I have shown you on previous session is like what are the different languages what we have. Okay, one is like a DDL lang. Let me open that one. So these are different database, like different commands, like each and every command has its own segregation basically. So DDL, DML, DCL, and TCL. So DDL is nothing but what we have discussed is data definition language, which deals with the definition of that objects. Okay, so basically, if you wanted to create any object, then that is nothing but we are using a create statement, right? If you wanted to create any database, we are going to create by using create statement. If you wanted to create any procedure, then also we're going to use create statement. Okay, so every object which is going to be created, that will be using the DDL commands. And if you wanted to change the object structure, or if you wanted to change the object, the columns which are present in the particular table, or if you wanted to change the object, so then we are going to use the DDL commands. If you wanted to manipulate the like the data, what is there as part of this object, that is nothing but we'll be using DML commands like insert, update, select. Okay, and DCL is nothing but grant and revoke, like controlling languages, like data control language, basically, which is used to control the permissions. Okay, so we can see this on a later point, and this is transaction control language, which is used for commit, rollback, and save point, where you can have some transactions and do based on that. So today we shall go through with the DDL and DML today, and we shall close this things like DDL as well as DML. Okay, so before going to DDL, so I just wanted there are some queries which I came through it, like how this table what we have created can be viewed through application. There are some questions which has been raised by other students, so I wanted to answer that before going to this DDL comments. So how these basically how our tables are used by using the application, like where you can see the data, how it can be done, is what some question, like one of our student has asked that question. Let me show you like how it will be done. So let's, there are three things which will be involved here basically. Okay, one is like application, one is application server. Okay, Then comes to the database server. Okay, there could be a middleware. Okay, there could be a middleware type. Okay, let's take this as I'll come to this. I will explain you what is what. Okay. So, let's take one here. So the middleware, there could be a chance like all the systems do not have most of this. So, it should be the application server. Okay. So here the application, like if there is any, there is a request which may come from the web server, and that may hit the that may hit the middleware, and the request is passed to the database server. So it's not that basically directly the report, like the data what we insert in the table, can be viewed by the end users. Okay, so everyone doesn't have this access. So everyone, like all the users, say suppose your account details in the bank, like once you log in, we can see the account details. So how that account details will be fetched based on your username and password, right? So once you enter your username and password in the web server or application server, that hits the middleware, and that request will be passed to the database server. From database server, the data will be fetched and it will be again passing to the web server. So this way, like it gets communicated, like the application server or web server will get communicated with the database server, and then the data gets fetched from the database server. So in this way, like we can see the details in the application from any of the front end, like if it could be the bank systems or it could be any other applications. So that gets the data from the database server. So the clients who are using, like all the users who are the end users who are using, they may not hit the database directly, but they can hit the database by using the web application or the web server. Okay, so let's take this as web application or web server. Like let's as we are seeing that, as we've seen in the example, like bank details. So once you enter the username and password, I wanted to repeat once again, that gets authenticated. Once it is authentic, then the request pass on to the database server. Once the server, like once it receives the request, it tries to give the output to the web server. So how that request will be passed here to the database server? That could be a select statement which will be fired on the server, or that could be a procedure which could be executed. Okay, so that will give an output, and that output will be carried forward to web server. So there is like a to and fro which happens here. So in that way, like our database server, the data what is present in the server can be fetched to the application server, or it could be the web server. So that how it deals, like basically how the database, the data, how it is there in the in the database what we have created, that will be fetched to the web server. And this is one way. And the other way is there could be some reporting tools which directly hits the database server, and they can fetch the data. Okay, it could be Tableau, it could be Power BI. Okay, I'm giving some examples. So that can directly hit the database and get the data from that particular database server. Okay, in these two ways, we can communicate with the database server and fetch the data from it. Okay, so this is one question which is asked previously. Like I'm not sure who has asked this one. So wanted to give one explanation on this one. Hope it is clear. Okay. Coming to the DDL commands. So we have seen the create command in previous session. So wanted to give some rules before going to the next thing, like alter. I wanted to show you what are the rules which we need to follow for creating any object in the database. Okay. So just coming to the rules, what we have. So here the table name, what we are going to create must be unique under the database. So if you create any table, let's say suppose we have created one table with student just now. So we cannot create the same the table again with the name of student. Okay, in the same database. You can create the table student in different database, but not in the same database. Okay. And all the columns which we have created in the table must be unique. Say suppose we have created one column with student number. You cannot create again that student number in the same table once again. Okay. In the table, it should be unique, but not across the tables. Okay. So you have created student number in the student table and you wanted to use the student number in some other table. If you wanted to create, then you can do that. Okay. But say within the table, you should have uniqueness in the column names, what we provide. Okay. And again, the table name what we have created should never start with numeric or any special characters except underscore. Okay, when you're creating any table, so these are the things which we need to follow because once else the SQL Server does not allow us to create the table. So it should not start with any numeric values or it should not start with any special characters except underscore. Okay. And do not use any spaces in the table name. If you wanted to give any spaces in the table name, then use underscore symbol only. Okay. So be careful that if you doesn't like when you create any table, so we need to be careful that we should not give any spaces in the table. So better if you wanted to give any space, say suppose you wanted to create a student details and if you wanted to give any space in between student and details, just go with underscore instead of giving spaces. And every object name should have minimum 1 character and maximum of 128 characters. Okay, the table name what we create should have at least 1 character, should be with 1 character, and the maximum allowed in the table name is 128 characters. Okay, so maximum number of columns what we create in the table, which is allowed of 1024. Okay, 1024 columns are allowed in the table what we create. So beyond that, we cannot create in the table. So these are the basic steps, like these are the rules for creating any of the tables. Okay, is that clear? Yeah, fine. Let's go with this the creating table rules, and I'm going with the alter statement. Okay, before so create. Yeah. So we are done with this create thing till like in the previous session and today's session, and we have even gone through some insert statements. Even I wanted to repeat once again the insert statements what we have gone through. So this is about the create, and next comes to alter. So what this alter command will do? Basically, this alter command, okay, as we have seen that this is part of DDL. So what does this do? These do alter command will do 4 different operations. Okay, one is if you wanted to modify any columns. Okay, columns in the sense there are two. Again, there could be 2 operations here. If you wanted to modify the column data type, you can do with alter command. Or if you wanted to uh, change the data type of that particular column, okay, you can do that. Okay, by using alter command. So for that, we'll be having alter column. I'll show with some few examples like how we can do that. Okay, and even like by using alter command, if you wanted to change the definition, if you wanted to add any column to that particular table for the existing table, then we can use alter with add. Okay, if you wanted to add any column to that particular table, existing table, and if you wanted to rename any column, okay, if you wanted to rename any column name, we have created some column and that is wrongly you have created some, there is some spelling mistake in that column and you wanted to rename it, you can do that by using sp underscore rename. That is nothing but you can just change the column name. Okay, that is one thing. And if you wanted to change the table name itself, like you have created some table and you wanted to change the table name, you can go with sp underscore rename. So this sp underscore rename, which is a command which will be used to rename the columns as well as rename the table name. And alter with the drop. So here, what we can do with the drop, we can drop any columns, any existing columns in that particular table by using alter with the drop statement. Okay. So these are the 4 different operations which can be performed as part of this alter command. Okay, let's see one after the other how we can do that by using the practical session. I'm just opening my window as SMS. Okay, so like I have shown here, like as is shown here, alter with alter command, which uses to change the data type. Okay, change the data type of the column. And one more thing is we can as well as change the size of the data type. We shall see with examples. So yeah, I have a table called test here for our this thing. You can just see here, and this is the table called test which we have created in our previous session. Okay, so what I wanted to do is I wanted to change the data type. So first thing, like what we have done is like what we have shown is like changing the data type. Okay, so here, before changing the data type, for changing the data type, there are some rules we need to follow. Okay, we cannot directly change the data type. Okay, before changing the data type, there are few rules which we need to follow. So what are that rules basically? So when we are trying to change the data type, okay, that should be of same type. Same type in the sense, say suppose you have some data with numeric. Okay, there is some data with integer. That can be changed to numeric. Okay, that can be changed to numeric. That can be changed to float. Okay, that can be changed to decimal. These things we can do here. But okay, but here, if it is integer, then you cannot change that to small int. You cannot change to tiny int. Okay. So if you wanted to change to small int or tiny int, there are some other rules which we need to follow. So just make sure that if there is any data type, what we are going to change. So we can change only to specific data types. Not all the other data types can be we can like we cannot change that particular column to any other data types other than the specific data types. Okay. Say suppose you have one column with varchar. Okay, that is nothing but there is some data which is stored as part of varchar, right? So that we cannot change to numeric actually. Numeric data types. So here we cannot change this to numeric data type. The reason is there could be some data which is stored in varchar that cannot be converted to numeric. Okay. Okay. In that case, like we need to make sure, like before changing any data types from one type to another, so we need to make sure that if that rules are getting followed, if not, then it throws an error. Say suppose we shall see one example here how it happens. So first we shall go with the positive scenario where we can change the data type and see, and later on like we shall see what are the errors we get once we change the data type from one to other which is not supported. Okay, so here let's see that we have a table called test. I'll try to show you the data types of these particular columns what we are trying to change. So here if you see that country which is of a data type char with a length of 20. Okay, so what I'm trying to do is I'm trying to change that particular data type of char to varchar here. Okay, and see how it happens. So okay, you just see that command got executed successfully. And if you see here, the test database, here it got changed to varchar. Okay, from here also you can see like basically skills training tables and come to the test table. You can see the data types here so that I think it will be visible to you. Yeah, columns. You can see here country, which is got changed to varchar 20. Now, as I said that there are two things which we can do with alter command, alter column. So what we can do, one thing is we can change the data type that we have done. Okay. The second thing is we can change the length of the data type as well. So previously with a varchar of 20, I wanted to change that to 40. So I can do that by using this alter command. So alter table, table name, and alter column, column name. So this is the syntax basically to change any of the column. If you wanted to change the data type or if you wanted to change the size. So the syntax follows here alter table and the table name, and then followed by alter column name, and then the data type what we wanted to change. Okay, so if you see here it is 20. I'm just trying to refresh here. So refresh table test and come to columns once again. You can see it got changed to 40. So in this way, like we can by using alter with the alter column, we can change the data type as well as change the size of the data type. This is the positive scenario, like where we can change the exact data types. Now, what I wanted to show here. Okay, so region ID, which is nothing but an integer column. I am trying to change that to. Okay, let's go with a region name. Okay, we have region name, right? So what I'll try to do is I'll take that region name and I will try to change because the region name is nothing but varchar 10. Okay, if you see the table here, the region name is completely null. So let's go with the location. Otherwise, I'll let you know why I'm not going with the region name. Location, I wanted to change that to integer. Okay, you can see that location which is present in the table, which is of having some numeric character data. Okay, so if you just run this, it throws an error stating that the data type cannot be changed. You can see here, conversion failed when converting the varchar value India to data type int. So these ways, in this way, it tries to throw an error and which doesn't allow you to change the data type. Okay. So we need to make sure when you change any data type of that particular column that should support. Okay. That way we can do this one. Okay. So and this one fine. Uh, So this is about alter with alter column. And next comes to alter with add. Okay. By using alter with add, what we can do, we can add any new column which we wanted to create. Okay. Say suppose we have a test table and you wanted to create one new column. Okay. Say let's assume that this test table contains country. So I wanted to add city to this particular table, the existing table. So how I can do that? Okay, the thing is you can just use alter command. By using add, we can have any new column get created or added to that particular table. So by using alter with add, we can add the column to that particular table, existing table. So here the syntax is like alter table name and add that column name which you wanted to add, and you need to specify the data type. Okay, so what I have done is just created this. So I'm just executing. Say previously you can see here the table, the data, the columns. What we have here is region ID, region name, location, and country. Now what I'm doing, I'm trying to add a new column called city. I just executed this, and you can see here. You can see the column new city got added. So here, what one thing you need to remember is if there is any existing data which is part of that particular table where you are trying to add the column, that will be populated with nulls for all the existing records. Okay. If any new column is getting added to the new table, existing table, and all the records, the existing data, what is present as part of the table, the new column will be getting with null values. Okay, that you need to be careful here. This is newly added column, and all the records what are there as part of this test table are populated with null. Okay, so if you wanted to change this one, there is some command called update. I'll try to show you in the coming in after this session, like after this DDL commands. I will try to show you how we can update the data, existing data as well. Okay, just you need to remember here is if you are going to create any column for an existing table, the data which is present in the table will contains the new column with null values. Okay, so that way we can add any new particular column to that particular table. Okay, so here, this is about adding. And if you wanted to rename, okay, if you wanted to rename the table column name, we can do by using SP rename. SP rename is nothing but a predefined procedure which is given by SQL Server, which helps us to rename the objects, rename the object, or rename the column of that particular table. So we can do two things here. One is changing the column name, and the second thing is we can rename the column name, rename the column name, and rename the table. Okay, these two things can be done by using SP rename. Okay, here it could be rename the table, or it could be you can just say that rename the object. It could be table, view, procedure, whatever it may be. The objects what we create in the SQL Server, that can be done by using SP rename. So coming to SP rename. So what we have created a column called city now, just now, right? I wanted to change that to city name. So what is the syntax to do that? So this is the procedure, sp_rename. So this is the command. If you can just think that it is a command followed by single quotation, followed by table name, dot, followed by column name. Okay. So city is the column which I wanted to change. So like what you wanted to change the city. I wanted to make that city as city name. Okay. I wanted to make the column name as city name. So how can you can do is you can just select, you can just write here like what is the table name and the column name what you wanted to change, and the new column name what you wanted to rename that particular column. So you can just select this one and execute. Okay, once you execute you can see a warning. Okay, you can ignore as of now this warning. Okay, that says that if there are any procedures which depends upon this test table, or if there are some objects which depends upon this table, that gets impacted. So that is the warning what you get. You can ignore as of now. So you can see here, once you run this select statement, previously you have the column with city. Now it got changed with city name. So we have changed the city column with to city name here. One more thing. So this is the first step what we can do with using rename. So I wanted to rename the object as well. So I wanted to make this test as test one. Okay, how can I do that one? So that also can be done by using sp rename. So how can I do that? I just select this. I'll try to write the command and show you. So I wanted to make this test to test one. Okay, this is my existing table test. I wanted to make to test 01. Okay, I'm just running this step. Okay, here the syntax will be sp rename, single quotation, and what is the table name which you wanted to change. So I wanted to change test, and what is the new table name you wanted to keep that for that. So that is nothing but test 01. So I'm just selecting this and executing here. Okay, so you can see that even the same caution coming here. You can ignore now. Now, if you run this select statement, it throws an error stating that test table does not exist. Okay, till now we have this select statement running, but now you can see that that table does not exist. There is nothing but that got changed to test 01. That got changed to test 01. If you run this one, you can see the table output. So in this way, sp_rename will help us to do two actions. One is renaming the column as well as renaming the object. Okay, so that is about sp rename. So alter with the drop. What does this alter with the drop will do? So alter with the drop statement will allows us you to drop any columns which are present as part of the object which has been created. So now we have created a column called city. So I wanted to drop that column, or you wanted to remove that column from that particular table. How we can do that? That can be achieved by using alter with the drop. Okay, so how we can do that? I'll try to show you. So everything like which is if you wanted to do any of these statements, you can see here alter table name is a common thing. Okay, under other than sp_rename rename, for all these statements, what we have seen alter with alter column, alter with alter like add, alter with the drop. Everything will have a common called alter table name and followed by the other commands. Like it could be alter column, it could be add, or it could be drop. Okay, so that is common thing here. So I wanted to drop one column. Okay. So we have called city name, I guess. So I wanted to rename this to city name. So this is like if you see here, this is the city name column what we have. So I wanted to change that. So we have to rename the table as table 01. So I'm running this script now. Okay. That got executed successfully. Just run this test 01. You can see that the city name got missed here. Okay. In this way, we can use alter with drop. So alter drop statement helps us to drop any column, existing column of that particular table. So I wanted to stop here. And if you have any questions, just unmute yourself and you can ask me out. Okay, there is one thing. We are executing only that particular line. Okay, someone has answered. Select and press F5. I think that is correct. Yeah. So if you have any questions, please raise your hand or unmute yourself and you can ask. I wanted to stop here for 1 minute. Or you can just ping in chat box, like if you are unable to like unmute yourself. Okay. Is that clear, everyone? Just ping in chat box if it is clear. Okay, Vidya has raised her hand. I think let me unmute her.
Hi, sir.
Hi,
Sir,
Vidya.
I have a question like we are able to change the table name, right?
Yes.
So, if there is any relation between the tables, like in that situation, how does it work? Do we need to change the table name everywhere, wherever it is called?
Okay, you are saying that if there is any relationships what we have.
Yeah. Or
Yes.
else do we have any
No,
shortcut?
actually, yeah. What we'll do is like once you have any relationship, actually that doesn't allow you to rename the table.
Okay.
Because that shows you that there are some foreign keys which has been created and that doesn't allow you. So first you need to drop that particular foreign keys and then only that allows you to create or rename the table. So once we come to this constraints, I'll let you know like how we can do that. So there are a few options called cascade set none. Okay, cascade drop foreign keys. So once we are going to drop the parent table, the child table foreign keys gets automatically dropped. This is one way where we can do, but we cannot rename the table name for the existing foreign keys. If you wanted to have that relation and you wanted to change the table name, so the thing is you need to drop that relation like the foreign keys and then followed by you need to recreate again with the new table. Okay, in that way we can do.
Even it would be the same with the column names as well, no, sir?
Yes, it will be the same with the column names as well.
Okay, sir. Thank
Even
you,
the
sir.
column names, it shows that it throws an error. Like if you wanted to change the column name, it throws an error stating that there is some relation with this particular column, and you cannot do that actually.
Okay.
Yeah.
Sir. Thank you, sir.
Fine. So one question, if you change the table name, it won't affect the data? No, it doesn't affect the data, Shashi. Like if you change the table name, the data remains same as we have seen now, right? If you just run the select statement, the test01, you can see the data present here. There's no effect in the data. It's just we're trying to change the table name itself. Uh, Give me a minute, I'm just getting a call. Yeah, any questions? Hope everything is clear to you. Is that clear? Just drop a message if it is clear so that we can proceed. Fine. This is about the alter command. So how alter will be used to perform. Okay, how it performs. Coming to the next thing. Let me open this. Here we have few more things like truncate and drop. Okay. So what this truncate will do? Okay. Basically, truncate will be used to delete the data from that particular table. Okay. Okay. So what this truncate will do? Truncate will be used to delete the data, all the records from the existing table permanently. Okay. If you wanted to delete the data completely from the table, then this particular truncate statement will be used to do that. Okay. So I'll try to show you that how we can do. And the drop. Drop is nothing but this command is used to drop the complete object permanently from the database. Okay, if you wanted to remove this test table, what we have created permanently from the database, so drop will be used to do that. Okay, so we shall see these two commands now. First, like that is straightforward thing basically. So before dropping this table, I want this table for other things. So what I'll try to do is I will just try to push the data into some other table. So test01 is our table. So what I wanted to do is I wanted to delete all the records. Okay. test01, right? Test01 is our table. So what I want to do is I wanted to delete all these records from this table. How can I do that? Okay, that can be used by using truncate command. Okay, truncate command. Truncate, syntax is truncate table and table name. Table name is test01. So by this we can truncate the table from the data. So once this got executed, you can see that the data in this table does not exist. It is empty now. So by using truncate statement, we can truncate the data from the table. So next thing is I wanted to drop the table test01. This is not like no longer required for me. So what I can do, I can drop that particular table. So what is the statement that will be used? Drop table and table name. Okay. If it is table, we'll be specifying the table, and if it is any procedure view or something, then we'll be giving that particular object type. Okay. This object type test01 is nothing but a table type. So I just created like I have added here drop table and the table name. So I'm just running this statement. So these will drop the table from the database. So once it will drop, you can just see here the table does not exist. You can see that invalid object name what we are trying to refer. Okay. So if it is in real-time scenario, so we will be very careful before doing these statements, basically truncating the table and dropping the table. So it cannot be done directly. There are some approvals which may require to do that, and there is some like basically some code that thinks what we are trying to change any data in the table or truncating the table, then we need to get some approvals before doing that. Okay, because once we truncate the table data, then we cannot regain that one. Okay, so that like if you're performing any such kind of truncates, deletes, drops, or updates, so we need to be very, very careful in doing that activity. Okay, say suppose there is some table which you're trying to drop. Then if you have dropped the table, which is very important to your system application, then your application is gone. Okay, so nothing will get works. Okay, so we need to be very careful before doing any truncates, drops, and updates in that particular table. Okay, so I can give one scenario like where our application like which we are using, there is a table of like which we have which will be used by a number like user details like the login details which are present in the particular table. So by mistake, instead of doing some truncate in one table, that got affected to the user details. Okay, so every user who has been created got truncated, and all the users who are using the application cannot log into the system itself. So that is the issue which happened. So this is one example where I can give you. So instead of truncating some X table, they have done by using they have done to the user details table. Okay, that impacted the complete application, and that took around 5 to 6 hours to regain like all the details, the user details what we need to create and do that. So around 5 to 6 hours, the system is down. So see, so the database plays a vital role. This is the main reason, like why database plays a vital role. So if you're doing some action that impacts a lot of things, okay. So if you're doing any action in the database, that impacts a lot of things. So we need to be very much careful before doing truncates, drops, and deletes, updates. Okay. So be careful when we try to do these actions. Okay. This is about alter, truncate, and drop. So this concludes our DDL commands. And if you have any doubts, I'll be waiting for 1-2 minutes. You can just go ahead. So there's a chat here. Can we drop particular cell? Particular cell in the sense column. We can do that. I have shown that. Cell cannot be dropped. Instead, you can make it null. Okay, if it is cell in the sense, if you okay, I think it's one column row. I guess if it is trying to speak. Yeah, one thing is, as I said, that the complete column can be dropped, but not the complete like cell cannot be dropped. Okay. Okay. If you wanted to vanish the data from that particular cell, okay, that can be used by using update statement, like we'll be seeing now. Okay. I think someone has answered the question, even answer for that. I think it's Vidya has answered. Yeah, cell cannot be dropped. Instead, you can make it null. Yes, that is correct. You can update the data in that particular cell, but we cannot drop it. Okay, so this is about the alter command. Next comes to let's take we are going to deal with DML now. Okay, so what are this DML? data that, like if you wanted to manipulate, like someone has asked, like if you wanted to change the data for that particular cell, how we can do that? So you can manipulate the data by using DML language. Okay, DML is nothing but data manipulation language. So these has set of commands where you can manipulate the data from the SQL, from the table or from the database. Okay, so here these are the commands like insert, update, delete, select. Okay, what does these do? Okay, so I'll just go with one by one. So insert statement. Insert statement is nothing but which is used to insert the data into a particular table. Okay, if you wanted to insert the data into a table, then insert statement will be used. Update statement. I will come to these examples one by one. So just wanted to give explanation of one the commands, and we shall see the examples of that one. Update statement. So what does this update will do? Update. So if you wanted to update any data in the existing table, okay, for the existing records, then we can go for an update. Okay, there are some 5 records. You wanted to update the data for that particular 5 records. Okay, then you can go with an update statement where you can update the data. Okay, it could be one column, it could be n number of columns which are present in that particular table. Okay, we can go with by using this update statement. Delete. So if you wanted to delete any specific record, so now we have seen the truncate statement in DDL language, right? So what the truncate will do, the truncates will truncate all the records from the table, right? So, but there is a condition like you where you wanted to delete only a single record, not all the records, or if you wanted to delete some particular records based on some condition, then that can be done by using delete statement, but not by truncate. Okay, if you wanted to delete any particular columns, sorry, any particular rows, that can be done by using delete. Select statement, like select statement is used to select the data from the tables. Okay, to select the data, to fetch the data from the tables, that can be used, the select statement can be used. So we shall go one after the other. I think insert statement, like we have seen one, like to populate the table data, like in the previous session. But I wanted to show how we can write that inserts in different ways. Like we have seen only one way how we can write that, or 2 ways, I think. We shall go to that once again, and I'll try to show how we can write that one. So insert by using this command, like we can do two different methods we can do. One is explicit and one is implicit. Okay, what does this explicit method will do? Explicit in the nothing but like you doesn't require basically if you wanted to that enter the data for all the columns, there is then you no need to specify the column names in the particular insert statement. Okay, so we shall see one example for that. And implicit, if you wanted to insert the data for specific columns, we need to specify that particular columns and you can insert that particular columns data. So we shall see one or two statements for this insert with implicit and explicit, and we shall go further. So how we can do is insert table table name. So we have one table called test. Okay, this table I have created like which please see if I have the table. I make a select statement on the particular table. Okay, I have data here. So I wanted to insert the data here in test table. So what are the columns I have? Region ID. So if you wanted to insert the data for all the columns, then you no need to specify the column names. Okay, so we wanted to insert the region name, right? So I wanted to insert the region name as test, and you have location as India. I wanted to insert the location as India, and country as India again. Okay. And here you have region ID, right? The region ID 11 we shall run this. So here I'm not specifying any column name. Okay, you can see here insert into test, and I'm not specifying any column names like which you wanted to insert. When I do that, okay, Okay. So here, like it is showing that you are trying to insert some column into identity. Okay. The reason why we got this error is we have an identity column in the test table, which is of region ID. Okay. So the explicit, we cannot explicitly by using command, we cannot insert the data for this particular identity column. So for that, you need to either set the identity off, okay, or you need to specify the columns before inserting. So what I'll try to do is I will try to remove this identity first and then see the statements. Okay. Okay. Let me remove that identity for this example, at least so that helps us. Now that can be done by using command, and you can just do that by using this window object explorer. Like once we come to this object, we have an option called identity specification. Okay. Okay, once you come to this column properties, if you just select this region and comes to this column properties, we have a field called identity specification. You need to set that to no. If that is set to no, then that is nothing but by default, the identity properties get set off for that particular column. So I'm just trying to save the data. Now you doesn't have identity column which is set to this. So I'm just running this one. Now you can see that one row got affected. That is like if you have any identity column in the table, you cannot explicitly insert the data for that particular column. The reason the region ID has an identity. So that is the reason we got an error stating that we're trying to insert some identity value. So that throws an error. So I just switched off that identity property for that column and tried to insert the value in this test table. Now you can see that 12th record got inserted, like what we have inserted. This is one traditional way of inserting the data into a table. One more way. Okay. So what I'll try to do is insert into is not required when we specify on the columns. So I'm just making it as 13. Okay. And I'm trying to insert. So instead of India, I'm just making it as location as Asia. And this is like Sri Lanka. Okay. And I'm trying to insert the data into test table. You can see that insert one row affected. When you just run the select statement, you can see the data present in the particular table, which is row regionally 13. Okay, so here, if you wanted to insert all the columns of that particular table, you no need to specify the columns list here. You can just specify the values what you wanted to insert. Okay, and here this into is not mandatory to have insert into statement in insert command. If you are specifying all the columns which you need to insert. Okay, here before if you do this way, you do if you are doing the values and just specifying the values here. So you need to be very careful that the data type which is present to this region ID should match the value what you're specifying here. Say suppose in the value, if you're trying to insert some character, okay, then it throws an error stating that the conversion failed when you're trying to convert the varchar to integer. So such kind of errors we may get. So you need to be very careful if it doesn't like if you're trying to insert the values, the data type should get matched. Okay, it could be any value what you wanted to insert, but the data type should match. So that is one check which will be done by SQL Server itself when you try to do insert statement. Okay, let me show you that example as well. So what I'm trying to do is we know that region ID is an integer column. You can see here it is nothing but integer column. So what I'm trying to do is I'm passing some text to it. Okay, instead of 12, I'm just passing some text to it, making as some. So here, what one thing you need to remember is if you are going to pass any text type, okay, if it is varchar, char, and varchar, okay, all the text type of data type should be enclosed with single quotation. Okay, should be enclosed with single quotation. If it is date time, on all that particular data types also should be enclosed in single quotation. If it is of type integer type data types, it could be int, numeric, okay, decimal, float, all that, like all that particular columns is not required to be enclosed in single quotation. Okay, if it is only text type of data types, that should be enclosed in the single quotation, the data what you're going to pass. Okay, so now what I'm doing is I'm just running that test insert. Okay, you can see here the error. Like it is like when trying conversion failed when converting the varchar value TE to data type int. So it cannot convert this particular value into int. That throws an error. Okay. That is one issue. Like you need to be careful. Like when you're trying to insert the data into the table. This is one way. And the second thing, as I said that. So if you are passing any data type which is belonging to text, that should be enclosed in single quotation. We shall see one example here. So I'm just adding 14 as one record. I wanted to give single quotation for this. Okay. And for this, the region name, I'm not specifying the single quotation. Okay, Asia and Sri Lanka, I wanted to record one thing. So I'm executing here. So you can see here an error, invalid column name test. So if it doesn't specify the single quotation, single quotes for that particular value, then it throws an error. Okay. So I wanted to add here single quotation and run. You can observe here two things what I have done. One is adding single quotes for the numeric as well, and one is removing single quotation for character. So here you can see one row affected. But as I said, like in my previous thing, if it is a numeric, then you no need to like you should not specify the single quotation. But if I specify here, that implicitly converts that SQL server implicitly converts that to integer and tries to store the data. So that has some capability. SQL server has some capability to check whether the value what you're passing in the single quotation is belonging to an integer type. If it is belonging to an integer type and the column is belonging to the integer, then that implicitly converts that into integer and tries to store the data. Okay, previously for test, we have excluded the single quotation, we have inserted, but it doesn't know like what you're passing that particular, the data is of type. Okay, so that's the reason it has thrown an error. But when we just pass the single quotation for the proper value, what we're trying to pass for an integer column, it has done implicit conversion and tried to insert the data into this particular table. You can see that data which has been inserted. Okay, 14 has got inserted with the test Asia and Sri Lanka once again. Okay, so this is how we insert the data into table. And if you wanted to insert only specific columns, okay, you wanted to insert the data only to specific columns. So how we can do that? So how we can do that is like insert into table name test, and you need to specify the list of columns what you wanted to insert. So I wanted to insert the value for region ID. Okay, and I wanted to insert insert for region name. Okay. And I wanted to insert the data for location. And so how I can do that? You need to have values, and what are the things you wanted to insert? One is region ID. I wanted to write as 15 because already 14 we have, and the region name is say South America. Let's see location is. Let's assume you wanted to insert this data. You can do that. Once you see the select statement, the field, the location field, location it's got inserted, and the country field, since we haven't passed any value, by default it gets inserted with none. Okay, so for which columns we can do that? If there is any particular, like if that particular column has a default value as null, only for such columns we can exclude that columns when you're trying to insert. Say suppose there is one column, like say suppose country column, which is not having a default as null. Okay, so when we create a table, okay, if you specify default as null, or if you doesn't specify to that particular column any property, then that will be treated as default null. And if there are some fields, let's say suppose there is account number. Okay, let's assume without account number we cannot have the record itself. Okay, that is the primary or the key column for that particular table. Let's assume. So for that columns, we'll have the default as not null. Okay, that ensures us not to pass null value for that particular column. So once we go through these constraints, I'll let you know how we can do that. So for now, what you can do is if that particular column is not specified for that particular table when we're inserting, that gets inserted with null value. So you need to remember that. So once we come to constraints, I will show how we can, if you wanted to keep any key columns, which is very mandatory and you wanted to data that is like that column should contains mandatory data, then we can enforce some constraints on the particular columns. We can see that when we come to constraints. Okay, these are the three different ways where we can insert the data into this table. So if you wanted to insert more than one record, how like in previous sessions, we have seen that. But once again, I'm trying to show you. You can just have a comma here, and you can specify the data here. Like say, suppose you wanted to insert the data for 2 to 3 records. So I just wanted to mention a 16 and passing it as 17 here, and I'm doing it North America and California. Okay, I wanted to do it New York. System. Okay, just running these statements. You can do this. The 2 rows affected here. Just come here and just do the select statement. You can see 2 rows got inserted. So in this way, like if you wanted to insert multiple rows, we can do that. Okay, there is one more way where we can do with select. I'll try to show you that once we come to the select statements. Okay, till here it is clear for the insert. If you have any doubts, just ping on in the chat box. We can go through. Hope it is clear. Okay, this is about insert. Okay, next coming to update. Okay, there is one doubt like now someone has raised, right? If you wanted to drop any cell, but we cannot drop, but we can make as null. So that can be done by using this update statement. So what does this update will do? Update will helps us to update the data, update the existing record, existing rows or existing data in the table. So update statement will be used for that. Okay. So coming to the update statement, we shall go into the fact fields directly. So what does this update will do? Update will try to update the data. How we can do that? So that will be update and that followed by set. And here it follows by column list. Let's say suppose column 1 you wanted to update, okay, by some value equal to some value, okay, followed by comma. If you wanted to update multiple columns, okay, just you need to follow by comma and then column 2 and then you want to give some value. Value. You can just specify here the table name. Table name. So by using this is one way, and the other way is like okay, other way I'll try to let you know when it comes to this aliases. And let's do this one. You can have a where condition where you wanted to specify update specific records, then you can apply some where condition for that. Where the condition will be there. So what we should do is like we wanted to update the data for this particular test table. Let's take this as test table. So here if you see that let's see some 3 different ways how we can 3 different columns how we can update. So here region name is null, right? So what I wanted to do is I wanted to make this null, okay, this null region to Asia. Okay, I wanted to update this particular region name which has null value to Asia, okay, as well as all the region all the records which has country null. Okay, so say suppose this has around 6 records here and bottom we have some more records around 3 records here, right? So 6 plus 3 9 records. I wanted to update these 9 records as India, and the region name which has empty I wanted to update as, okay, I wanted to update as Asia. So how can I do that? Okay, let's see that example. So what is the syntax? Update table, that is update test, that is our table, and set will be followed by column names. So what is the column which you wanted to update? Region underscore name, region underscore name. So what is the value you wanted to update? It should be Asia, okay, followed by comma. So what is the comma? Country you wanted to update, right? So country equal to India. So this is the update what you wanted to do. So for how many records you wanted to update? For the records which has null region IDs and null country ID. So for which how many records we have this null? So these are the region IDs what we have, right? So I wanted to specify this in the condition where, so only for that records you wanted to update region ID in, okay. You need to specify the value with a comma separated. Okay. Since it is integer, I'm not keeping that value in the single quotation. Okay. So I wanted to update only for this particular region IDs. And we have few more. Okay. So these I'll try to show in the next example. I think we cannot update this because we are trying to update two columns. So here the region name what we have here, that again gets updated with India. Sorry, Asia. So that should not happen. So I'll try to show you how we can do that in the next thing. But I wanted to update only that this particular columns now. Okay, till 6, till these rows I wanted to update. So I'll try to keep this in condition and update here. Okay. Okay, you can see that 6 rows got affected. Now just run the select statement to see the data how it's saved in the table. Okay, run the select statement. You can see here, like previously it is null. Now you can see the value with Asia. Okay. So in this way, like existing records can be updated by using update statement. Okay. So the reason why I haven't shown you the bottom records is that like if you wanted to update, so existing data, okay, this SA and NA and SA will become India Asia. So I don't want it to do that. So that's the reason I have excluded this. So here, what I wanted to do is if that particular country is null, then only I wanted to update that to India. Okay. If the country is null, then only I wanted to update to India. So how can I do that? Okay. So we shall see that as well. Okay. I'll just make that as country. Here, if it is null, so you cannot specify with equal to operator or in operator. Okay, equal to operator is nothing but if that particular condition satisfies the country column and the value what is present here. If it is satisfied, then only it gets 5. Okay, for is null, you need to specify with is with a condition like with a keyword called is null. So it checks whether the country is null or not. If it is null only, this particular update statement will be applied. So what we can do is where just apply here and show here how it works. What I'm doing, I'm just selecting the data from the test where country is null, where the particular column value has null values. So just run this statement. You can see these 3 records got executed. Okay, these 3 records got executed. So I wanted to update only these 3 records now. So for that, I'm just using where condition here to update only that particular specific records. So I'm just removing this region name and trying to update only country to India. So I'm running this statement. Now you can see 3 rows got affected. Here you can see 3 rows got affected. That is nothing but the 3 rows which has the country as null got updated to India. Okay, that got updated to India. If you run this statement, you can see 0 records. You can see 0 records. The reason is the country column got updated from null to India. From null to India. You can just run the select statement. You can see all the values now got populated. Okay, so here, because if you see here, okay, these 3 records like 15, 16, and 17. So I wanted to make it as some other value. Okay, for some other, I wanted to make this India to some other value. Let's assume that I wanted to update. Okay, update the country with the country column with the location. Okay, for these 3 records itself. How can I do that? We shall see that example as well. How can I do that? So, okay. So for these 3 records, as I shown you, this India should be replaced with America, and this India should be replaced with California, and the 17th record, the India should be replaced with New York. Okay, how can I do that? By using update statement. How can you do that? By using this update statement. So I'm just replacing this. Instead of passing the hard value, I'll just pass the column name itself. So this column name, for which records I wanted to update, for 15, 16, and 17. So here region ID in, only for these records I wanted to do 15, 16, 17. Okay, just run here. So here what happens is the location value, what is present, that will be updated to country column. Okay, that will be updated to country column. Just I'm running the select statement. You can see here. Okay, previously this is India. Now it got updated to America. This got updated to California, and this got updated to New York. Okay, so you can see this change. One thing is you can update the value with some hard coded value. Okay, but based on some condition, or you can pass the column of different table or the same table what you wanted to update by using this, like in this way you can do that. Okay, so all the 15, 16, 17 rows, so it tries to check the country, okay, comes to this value location and tries to update for the particular location ID. And here in the 16th record, like it goes row by row, it checks the country, which is of India, and updates the value California to country. And similarly for the 17th record, it check the value what is present in the location and that get updated to country column. So in this way, we can use this update statement to update the values of existing rows. So here, one more thing. I wanted to make 15, 16, 17 as null. I wanted to make that as null. So what I can do is just pass the null. I wanted to make the country as empty. Okay. I can run this statement. You can see that 3 rows got affected. And I'm running this select statement once again. Okay. What will be the output here? The 3 records what we have updated got updated to null. Okay. In this way, like these update statements will be used to manipulate the data what is present in the existing table. Okay, I just wanted to stop here. Give me 2 minutes. I'll be back in 2 minutes. If you have any doubts, you can just ping in chat. Once I'm back, I'll try to answer. Yeah, I'm back. So any doubts, you can just ask me in chat. I think most doubts. Is everything clear? Just ping on the chat. Like if it is clear, then we can proceed further. Okay. Fine. Let's come to this delete statement, how we can do that, like how this delete works. So this delete statement, like as we seen that, if you wanted to manipulate, if you wanted to delete specific records from the table, then we can use this delete statement. So how we can do that, I'll try to show you here. As we seen that this test table, we have some around 10 to 12 records in this, right? Okay, there are around 12 records in that. So I wanted to delete all the records. Okay, I wanted to delete all the records which has country as null. Okay, which has country as null. So there is specific condition which is getting applied here. What is that condition? The condition is if country column value is null, then I wanted to delete that particular records. How can I do that? That can be achieved by using delete statement. That can be achieved by using delete statement. How we can do? Just come to the query window and click delete and then followed by table name. Okay, and followed by where condition. Where condition. And here, if you doesn't specify any where condition, okay, if you doesn't specify any where condition, that will by default deletes all the data from the table. Okay, it tries to delete all the data from that particular table. So if you specify any where condition, so based on that condition, the data gets deleted. Only based on that condition, the data gets deleted. Okay, so what I'll try to do is I'll try to delete the condition based on the country which has null value. If the country has null value, then I wanted to delete the data. Delete test where. What is the condition I wanted to keep? Country is null. Let's see. Yeah, you can see that 3 rows got deleted. Okay, 3 rows got affected. If you go and check in the table, you can see here. Previously, there are 12 records, right? So when you just run the select statement, you can see only 9 records present. The 3 records which has the country value, okay, the data in the country column as null, that got deleted. So if you wanted to delete specific records, then we can go with delete statement. If it doesn't specify any condition, okay, you need to be very careful in updates and deletes and truncates, as I said previously. Okay, if it doesn't specify any condition, then that will think that every record should be deleted. Okay, the SQL Server thinks that every record should be deleted. So with that, like it tries to delete complete data in the table. Okay, if it doesn't specify any where condition, then that thinks that the SQL Server will think that there is no condition which has been applied, and it tries to delete complete data from the table. So for now, like I have just done with some where condition because we require this test data for the other queries. So that's the reason I'm just only showing you with where condition. Okay. So here by using where condition, we can delete some specific records. So is that clear? So coming to the next thing, select. Okay. Select. Here the select is very mostly used in SQL Server, not only in SQL Server, in many of the databases. Okay, so how it will be used, we shall see here, because till now we are just I'm trying to show you like how we are getting the data. So there are some things like where we need to see like how we can fetch the data. Okay, so select, because mostly the things like where we wanted to fetch the data, then definitely we need to go for the select statement. So here select statement will be used to project the data. Okay, will be used to project the data from the tables. Okay, from the tables. If you wanted to fetch the data, then definitely we need to use select statement. Okay, select will be followed by list of columns. Okay, list of columns or with a star, operator star, which fetches all the records and followed by from keyword followed by a table name. Okay, and then followed by a where condition. It is not mandatory to have where condition. Okay, then followed by order by. Uh, you can just ignore them as of now, but you need to remember this, followed by group by, followed by having, followed by order by. Okay, you can just ignore group by and having. Once we cover these aggregate functions, I'll try to load these things. I'll try to show you there. But for now, you need to remember the syntax for this one. So the execution, the select statement will be like select list of columns what you wanted, or if you wanted to go with all the columns, then we'll specify star from the table name from which you wanted to fetch the data, followed by a where condition, then group by, then having and order by. Okay, we shall see a few examples how it works. Okay, so we have test table, right? So what I'm trying to do is select star from test. This is one way where we can fetch the data. By using this select star is nothing but star implies that to fetch all the columns of the table. Okay, to fetch all the columns of the table. So by using select star, we got all the columns from the table. So if you wanted to see only specific columns, if you wanted to see only specific columns, then you need to specify the list of columns what you wanted to see. Okay, the list of columns what you wanted to see. Just to specify here the list of columns, region ID, comma, region name. If you wanted to see only two columns, what I'll do, I'll just specify only these two columns in the selection column list. So I'm just running this select statement. You can see only the two columns got fetched because we have used only two columns in the list of the selection. Okay, that is the reason we got only these two columns. Okay, this way, like you can specify the list of columns. Now, coming to this order by. Okay, we shall see order by, then come to where class. Select star from, I'll just go with test, and you can see here this is the data which has been arranged in SQL Server. Okay, in this way the data got arranged. So what I wanted to do is I wanted to arrange the data based on the location. I wanted to sort the data. Okay, sort the data based on the location. How I wanted to do? I wanted to do ascending sorting. Okay, the sorting should be ascending. If it is a character, okay, if it is of datatype character, then it depends. If you wanted to sort the data, it depends upon the first value. Okay, if it is India, then the first character is I. So based on this, it gets sorted. The data gets sorted. So how I'll do is I'll try to show you order by. I wanted to mention the column name. We need to mention the column name on which how you wanted to fetch the data. So order by is used to sort the data, okay, for the column name which has been specified. Okay, it tries to sort the data and tries to project or tries to select the data from the database. By using order by class, we can sort the data. So what we have done is we have done based on the location. So you can see here the data got sorted. So first is Africa, Asia, and then India, test, and US. So here it got sorted. But how it knows like whether it should do like order by like sorting of data can be done in two ways. One is either ascending or the other is descending. Okay, two ways. Ascending in the sense from smaller to bigger and descending in the sense from bigger to smaller. So if you wanted, if you doesn't specify any type here, okay, after location, there are two things what we can specify, either ascending or descending. Okay, if you specify, if you doesn't specify any of these two, okay, either ascending or descending, then by default, it sorts the data in ascending order. Okay, by default, it sorts the data in ascending order. So that's the reason, if you haven't specified anything, so it got sorted in ascending order. Africa is first, Asia is second, and Asia is third. Here the third record we have here as Asia. So here, when the two records contain the same value, how does it show here? Okay, so it randomly picks based on, because the region ID is here, like it is 13 and 14. The data saved here is 13 first and 14 second. So based on that, it randomly picks the data from the SQL server and tries to show you, because these two values contain the same value, right? Asia. So it randomly picks the data from the particular table based on the data stored, and it tries to fetch the data. Okay, if you see here, India and India. Okay, so these two contain the same value. If you see here, region ID is 12 and the region ID is 1 here. So it tries to fetch the data randomly, try to fix the data, how it got stored in the database, and try to fetch the data. Here, if you see test, and again US. So in that way, like it tries to fetch the data. So if you wanted to get the data in descending order of this particular location, how we can do it? So if you even specify this ASC, that by default shows the same results what we have seen previously. Okay, if it doesn't specify also, it shows the same, because by default, if it doesn't specify any order, like which way you wanted to sort the data, it takes ascending. It comes to descending. So I wanted to see the data in descending order. So how we can do that? You can just specify DESC. So here you can see the location which of type location which has the value as US has been populated on the top. Previously, this is populated at the bottom. Now it got populated at the top. And the bottom we have Africa, like which has been populated on the top previously when we used ascending order. So how does that do? It tries to pick the first character of this location and sees what is the value of that one. Okay, alphabetical order of that particular value. And if the two values are matches, like if say suppose one you have with the value US and the other one you have with value UK, let's assume. Okay, so if the first column gets matched, if the first column gets matched, if the first value, the alphabet get matched, it goes for the second record, second value, second alphabet. Okay, based on the second alphabet, it is tries to sort the data. Okay, if there is any record which is containing of UK, that used to get on the top, then comes to US. Okay, it first checks with the first character and then goes to the second character, then goes to third character. If every character matches, then it randomly picks. If not matches, based on the character, okay, the order of the character, it tries to fetch the data. Okay, that way it follows when you try to sort the data based on this order by. Okay, when you try to fetch the data by using order by class. Okay, this way where we can get the data sorted by using order by class. Okay, so this is order by class. So coming to where class, how we can use this where class? So you wanted to fetch any specific records. If you wanted to fetch any specific records from that particular table, then we go for where class. Okay. So I wanted to see only the location which is having with India. Okay. I wanted to see only location which is having with India. So location where you need to follow by column name equal to, and what you need to specify India. So India is nothing but like location. The data type of location is nothing but character type. Okay, which is nothing but varchar. So you need to specify in single quotation. So single quotation followed by the value what you wanted to search. So here, if you just run this statement, you can see here. So there are two records which has the location value as India. So in this way, we can get the data. Here, after applying this where condition, what I wanted to do is I wanted to sort the data based on the region name. Okay, I wanted to sort the data based on the region name. How can I do that? So you can apply order by class for this particular select statement by using order by, and what is the column you wanted to sort? Region name. So region name, how you wanted to sort, whether it is ascending or descending, I wanted to sort by using descending. So just to specify here and run these three lines, you can see here. So previously Asia is on the top. Now test becomes on the top because out the record, like there are two records here and we have just specified the descending of that particular region. So test, which is T, the initial character, which is having the highest priority since it is descending. So that got on the top and next comes to Asia. So here order by is applied on the result set after getting from the where class. Okay, before giving the data to the end user or to the result set, it tries to apply the where class and use the result set and then sorts the data. Okay, and then sorts the data. So the execution steps in SQL for select statement will be followed by from class. So first it hits the from class, then it applies the filter. Okay, then it tries to sort the data. Okay, this way it follows like from top to bottom. This is the first step which will take into picture, then applies the where class, then followed by order by. So once we get the output from the where class, it tries to apply order by from for the particular output. In this way, like where we can apply the where class. So here we have seen one type, like how we can do by using where class. So here what we are doing, we are just only specifying one value. Okay, so you wanted to see only with the location which has India, but I wanted to see some other locations as well. I wanted to see in the result set. I wanted to see with India, I have if there is any South America or North America location details or some other country location details if you wanted to see, then how we can do that? That also can be achieved by using where class, and how we can achieve that one, I'll try to show you. Okay, just apply the select statement. If you just see here the test table, so what are the locations we have? India, US, West Africa. So what I want to do is I wanted to see all the location which has India as well as Asia. Okay, let's assume that I wanted to see the data which has India and Asia. So what should be my output? This record, one record, this seventh record, and then followed by the two, like the 13 and 14. So my output should contain 4 records, okay, which has location as India as well as Asia. So how can I do that? So here, if you are specifying more than one value as part of the where condition column to be satisfied. So for that, you need to go with in operator. Okay, in operator. In operator is nothing but which tries to check all the values which we specify in the right hand side. Okay, after the in operator, what are the values has been specified, that will try to check and try to fetch the data. Okay, and that should be followed by a like brace. Okay, and it should end again with a brace. So these are nothing but these are the values which the location should search and fetch the data based on these values. Once it gets satisfied, only that value should be like that records we need to get as an output. So you can see here, like as we have seen that there should be 4 records which we has like which we have seen that. So we got in that way. Okay. So the same thing, like order by is applied on the result set what we have received. Okay, this is one way where we can go with in operator. Okay, so if it is, I wanted to see, okay, I wanted to see the data from this table based on 2 conditions. Okay, there are 2 conditions where I wanted to apply. One condition is location with India, as well as I wanted to see the country as well as with India. Okay, I wanted to have the location as India as well as the country as India. So how can I apply? So you're now trying to do the conditions and more than one column. So how can I do that? So for that, there will be some logical operators which we call as and. Okay, and is nothing but a logical operator, and or. Okay, or is one more logical operator in SQL. And is nothing but if you wanted to specify, if you wanted to satisfy more than one condition, okay, then that will be followed by and condition. Okay, and is nothing but if two get satisfied, if two conditions get satisfied, then only the result set, the output will, the result will get the output or the result set of that particular conditions. And this or operator will be used to fetch the data if any one of the condition gets satisfied. As we know that, like and is nothing but 1 and 1. If it is true, the other one is true, then only we'll get the true value. Okay, and for all the other cases, that will be 0, like 1 with 0, like 1 with false, that is again be 0, and 0 with 1, even that will get as 0, and 0 to 0. If 2 records are 0, then that will be nothing but a 0. Okay, these cases, like all these cases will be 0 for AND operator. Okay, so if two conditions get satisfied only, then we'll get an output. Here in our operators, if one condition is satisfied, then we'll get the data. Okay, if one condition is satisfied, then we'll get the data. If two conditions are failed, then we'll not fetch any data. So these way, the logical operators will be used. So we shall see one after the other how it works. Okay, let's go with logical operator and. So I'm just applying here after this where class column name what we have mentioned. Just go with the keyword and. Okay, and come to the column. Say suppose I wanted to see only for the records which has country equal to India. Okay, only the records which has country as India. So I just applied here the condition as well. So now we got a, like if you see here before this one, before this result set, what are the records we shall see. So this is our previous result set, right? So before this, we got 4 records where we have country column with value Sri Lanka. Now these should get eliminated as part of our condition. So we shall run this one. Okay, you can see here 2 records. Okay, you can see here 2 records. Okay, in this way, like you can apply conditions for more than one column in the selection statement. Okay, in this particular select statement. If you wanted to comment any specific particular row, okay, you can just use two hyphens here. Okay, you can use two hyphens. So in that sense, like SQL Server will assume that this is commented code and it ignores that particular statement, that line. So you can see here, like this country column, the country filtering condition got uh, got commented. Since we have got commented, that got eliminated in this result set. Like you can see the data with Sri Lanka. Okay. In this way, like SQL Server will treat that this particular line should be eliminated when it's trying to execute. So this way, like if you wanted to comment any code, you can do by using double hyphen. Okay, just I'm commenting this, running this select statement. This. Okay. So here, so this is how we go with the logical operator and there's one more logical operator. What we have seen is or. So how we can do that? So coming here, I wanted to see if location is in India or if that particular country has the value as India. I wanted to fetch the output of that particular result set. How I can do that? Okay, just from this statement, you can go with the or condition. You can see here this is the result set. So we shall see here how it got framed. So first condition, yeah, so what I said, our condition is nothing but if any one of the condition gets satisfied, then the result, then we get the result set. Okay. So here, if you see the region ID 12, it has the location value as India. So first condition got satisfied. That is the reason we got this record. And even for the second record, okay, the location is Asia. So that is nothing but the first condition got satisfied. Even for this one, the first condition, even for India, it got the first condition. Coming to record number 5, okay, that is with region ID 3, which has location as US, but country as India. Okay, but country as India. So we got that based on the second condition. Okay, we got that record based on the second condition. This first condition got failed and it comes to second condition. The second condition gets satisfied. So that's the reason we got this output. So in our operator, it tries to check for the first condition. If it gets satisfied, it doesn't go for the second condition. If it gets satisfied, it doesn't go for the second condition. If you see here in the top record, location is having the value as Asia, but country is having as Sri Lanka. Since this is satisfied, it doesn't go and check for the country value what we have specified. Okay, since the first condition got satisfied, it throws the output stating that okay, it got satisfied, and you can just bring this particular record. So here, since this first condition got failed, it goes and checks for the second condition. If it gets satisfied, we'll get the data out of it. If both conditions got failed, then we doesn't get any data. Okay, if both conditions got failed, then we doesn't get data. In this way, we can use these logical operators. Okay, in this way, we can use logical operators. This is about in. So we have one more field called this is about logical operators and their class. One more way we can do is if you wanted to see only the records which doesn't have the location value as Asia and India. Okay, which doesn't have location value as Asia and India. How we can do that? That can be achieved by using not in operator. By using not in operator. Not in operator which helps us to eliminate the records which get satisfied by using this condition. Okay. Say suppose location which is not in India and Asia. So all the records which doesn't belongs to India and Asia will be the output for us. So here you can see the record number 3. Okay, I'll just remove this condition. Here you can see that record number 3, 4, and test. This is 5. This is test, and Africa will be the output of a condition because what we have specified not in the sense that will be eliminated. So just I'm running this statement. So you can see that location which we have seen here, which doesn't belongs to any of these values, India or Asia. Okay, location does not belongs to India or Asia. In this way, we can fetch the data if you wanted to eliminate that from the result set. Okay, this is one way to write not in, and there are some other ways where we can do that. Okay, this is one way to write not in, and one more way how we can do is if you sorry, not okay. This is for more than one record. If you wanted to specify only one record, let's assume. Okay, so not in, I wanted to see only that doesn't belongs to India. I don't wanted to see only India location records. So what I've done is not in. Okay. So just to specify here. And in the select statement, you can see only the records which doesn't belongs to location India. So for this, like if you wanted to specify single uh, mapping condition, what we can do is we have two options here. Either we can go with exclamatory mark with equal to symbol. This is one way, and just remove this braces, which is not required if you specify one record. In this way also we can achieve this mounting. Okay, and one more way we can do is for nothing class, instead of this exclamatory and equal, just prove it less uh, less than and greater than symbol. Okay, which even says that it's not in. Okay, in these ways we can achieve for a single column. If you wanted to see which is not equal to, if you wanted to specify, then we can go with this one. Okay, so if you wanted to specify not equal to for single value, then we can go with this syntax. Okay, so till here, is that clear, or you wanted to repeat any of the steps? Let me know. Wanted to wait for a minute. So if you have any doubts, just bring on the chat. Yeah, Vidya has raised her hand. Let me unmute. Yeah, Vidya, you can unmute yourself.
Yes, sir. Sir,
Yeah.
delete statement will delete the records, right, sir?
Yes.
Will we be able to roll back the condition? Like, can we get the
Yes.
data anywhere?
Yes, that we can do. But what we need to do is we need to have that particular thing in a transaction. That particular statement should be executed in this transaction. Once we come to these transactions, I will let you know. I will try to show before doing update or delete, okay, or truncate. So we need to have some transactions which has been started, and in that transaction, if we execute, then we can roll back the data what we have done. Okay,
Okay,
so
sir.
that we can do that.
Okay, one more question, sir.
Yeah, sure.
Select statement is used to display the columns and its data from a particular table, right, sir?
Yes.
So say if we have 100 columns in a table, but I
Okay.
don't want to view all the 100 columns using the select. Can I eliminate the display of at least 50 columns? Like, is it possible?
Yes, you can do that by specifying the column list what you want required here as part of the select statement. Instead of star, you can specify the columns what you required as part of the display columns.
So for multiple columns also, we have to write each and every column name.
Yes,
Like,
yes, you need to write. So if you wanted to, out of 100 columns, you wanted to only see 50, then definitely you need to specify like which 50 columns you require.
okay.
Okay, because
Okay.
that doesn't, because SQL Server doesn't know, right? Like what you're trying
Yeah.
to. So that's the reason it asks for the column names. Instead of star, you need to specify the column list.
Okay. That's
Yeah,
it.
yeah,
Thank you.
fine. Is that okay? Like you understood the things what I've discussed? Everything? Yeah. So let me know if you have any queries. So I wanted to stop the session for today. So you can have for 5 to 10 minutes the discussion, and can close the session today. Please try to practice this. I'll try to share this scripts today. At least these scripts what we have seen for the select, update, delete, truncate, and these things. So you can just go ahead and practice. So I have just taken this table as test. So you can just replace with some other tables and try your own. Okay. So you have some idea now. So you can just create your own tables and do whatever the operations you want. And here I'm not touching the tables what we have created previously because these are required for the further sessions. Okay. In the script what we have shared in the Google Drive that contains this country, department, this tables list, right? So when we go for joins, that like more than one table if you wanted to fetch the data. So I require these tables. So that's the reason I'm not touching the tables. I just created one temporary table called test, and we are doing some manipulations in this particular table itself. Okay. So when it comes to do that, I'll explain you how we can do. So once the joins is like once we come to the concept called joins. Okay, is that clear? Yeah. So if you have any doubts, please raise your hand and let me see if I can cover something more. If possible, I'll try to share this document what I have prepared. That may be even helpful for you. Okay, so we have some 5 minutes of time, right? So I just wanted to show you something called aliases. So what is this alias means? Okay, so so instead of like when we just write the statement, right? We are what we are trying to do. We are trying to write the select statement from this particular table. Okay, so we have a concept called alias. Select star from okay, uh, test table, right? So we are using this table as test. So what I wanted to do is I want to specify some alias name for that. So I'll be referring that table by using this alias name in the command. So I just given the alias name as T. So if you run this select statement, okay, even this gives the same result. But here the table test is referred as T. Okay, if you wanted to do like if you wanted to uh, do some other like when it comes to joins, if you wanted to specify some columns from test and then some columns from other table, then we need to specify the table name followed by the column name. So instead of doing that, we can just specify the alias name followed by the column name. Okay, so this alias name will be acting as a table name, and we can use that as part of our select statements or update statements. So one example where I can show by using this alias is update statements. Okay, so let's see here how we can do that update by using this alias. So here, if you see here, let's take this example. Okay. Of course, this the I think the data we want to complete. So instead of doing this, we have one more way is doing the update statement, update statement by using alias name. You can just have the from class here from the table name test. Okay, I wanted to specify this as T. Okay, this as T. And instead of specifying the table name here, you can specify the alias name. Okay, instead of specifying the table name, you can specify the alias name. So I wanted to update the country ID as null for all the records which are having region ID 15, 16, 17. Of course, there is no data with the region ID 15, 16, 17, but even I'm just trying to do that. It should show that no records got updated and 0 is affected. I'm running here. You can see it 0 is affected. Even this works. Okay, so why this alias is used is like if there are some, for example, there are two tables, okay, and you are trying to fetch or you are trying to refer that two tables columns, and there is one column which is same in both tables. Okay, let's say suppose test and test 01. We have a table called country in both the tables. So SQL Server does not understand from which table I need to fetch this country. So for that, what we need to specify is the table name dot the column name from which it need to specify. Okay. So let's assume let's take one more table called test 01. Okay. We have one table called test. How that will be used, I'll try to show you. So what I'll try to do is I'll try to have the same ignore the statement now. Like, this concept on the table. So we have two tables now. This test and test 01. These are the two tables that I will have. Test is one table and the other table is test 01. So if I wanted to fetch the data from these two tables, so here you can see the two tables are same, right? So if you wanted to specify any table, if you wanted to join these two tables and get the data, so we need to specify the column name followed with the table name followed by the column name. So instead of specifying this bigger table name, we can have a shortcut for the table for specifying that. Okay, like instead of specifying test 01, we can go with the T as a alias name, and by using that we can do that. So once it comes to joins, then you can know like what is the advantage of this alias names. Okay, but you need to remember that a table can be aliased by some other name as well. So you need to know that. So that's the reason I just said to you. So this is the alias name, the table name followed by a space and the alias name. Okay, in this way we can alias the table. That is nothing but a other name for the particular table in this particular query window. Okay, other name for the particular table is this query window. This is about the the table alias. Okay. So even we can do a column alias as well. Say suppose I am selecting a region ID, right? Region underscore ID. Okay. From table test. From table test. So here I wanted to specify T dot. Okay. So I'm running this select statement. You can see the region ID, but I wanted to see the display name as region or region number instead of region underscore ID. How can I do that? I can alias the column by using as and the alias column name what you want as region. Let's assume I wanted to show see as region. So I can just run this select statement. So instead of region ID, the display name got changed to region. Okay, the display name got to change it to region. In this way, we can even alias the columns as well. So this is one way to do the alias, and the other way is what you can do is instead of this as you can just give space here. Okay, just give a space. Okay, then just you can run this statement. So even this gives the same result set. Okay, so column alias as well as table alias. Okay, these two will be very plays a major role when it comes to the joins, but you need to understand how we can do that. Okay, this is about the column alias and table alias. If you have any doubts, you can just raise your hand and spring and chat. So wanted to stop the session till here, okay, and just be prepared like the topics what you have covered, and if you have any questions, you can just ping on like you can discuss tomorrow. Okay, have a nice day, and if you have any questions, I can wait for 5 minutes. You can just ping in chat.
Hello. Yeah. Yeah. Thanks for the session. And I would like to add one input over here. Like we have a few openings in DXC company for MsSQL for the experience of 2 to 6 years. So if any of your friends or relatives who are in search for 2 to 6 years of SQL jobs, just drop your resume to the mentioned mail ID. Now I am giving a mail ID over here. Just a second. Yeah, I have given mail ID in this chat box, and I will also post the JD in our Telegram group. So if anyone would like to apply, you can share your resumes to this mail ID so that he can refer in his company. Yeah, I'm done from my end. Like if you have any questions, yeah, please unmute yourself and can ask now. Okay, then if no questions further, we can end up for today, and we'll meet tomorrow by 11 a.m. Is that okay? Just confirm in chat box so that we can end up the meeting. Yeah,
Yeah.
done.
Thanks for
Thank
the
you.
update.
Thanks for joining. Take care.
Please try to practice.